We're at step number 8. And a common problem with step number 8 is that teams struggle to push this roll pin, the pin with the split in it, into the base of the hand. They just doesn't move. So what's happening is that this pin is not meeting directly the hole inside this brass part. So you can see that this one's not moving very well. This one's moving really easily. This one's a bit stiff. That means that the pin is pushing against the edge of the hole. So to fix that is really, really simple. And there's actually a little picture there in the instructions in number 8. And that is just to wiggle this backwards and forwards until it's nice and loose. And then you could be able to continue to push that in, and it slots in really, really easily. So we're with step number 8, and a common problem is that someone or a team puts in one of these brass pawls, but we'll just call them a brass part, puts them in the wrong way around. So this one here is correct. You can see there's a little part here that should be facing that way. That's correct. But this one here is the other way around. It's the wrong way around. How do we get that out? It's actually pretty simple. So in your kit, you should still have one of these very small pins. Yeah, it's one of I'll put the light directly on it. It's one of the normal pins. It doesn't have a hole in it or anything. It's just a normal pin. So we need that, and we need some pliers, which should be in your spare parts kit. So you're going to take that very small pin, and you're going to put it in between the brass parts. So where the hole goes through, you're putting the small pin in between those two. Then it's simply a matter of using the pliers as a lever to push that pin that's holding the brass part out the way it came. Then simply take the small pin out again. Here, it just fits in there perfectly, and then you should be able to remove this brass part, and we turn it round the right way. Okay, so you've gotten to the end of assembling the hands, and you're checking it, and the fingers aren't moving well, and they're not releasing. What do I do? There's 3 reasons that this could happen. The first is that these 2 bolts are done up too tight. So people's tendency is to crank these tight, and it means that these fingers can't move. So the first is just to check that these are done up just finger tight. Yeah, so they don't have to be done up tight at all. In fact, you can do that just with a finger and a thumb, and just try releasing it and see if it works. In this case it hasn't, so something else is stopping this hand from opening. That will more than likely have something to do with the springs in these small movable fingers. So to have a look at those, we just need to take off these 2 bolts. 1 and 2. Set that to the side, and let's have a look and see what's going on. Okay, so the first one is this. Now this problem is very, very common, unfortunately. So step number 10 has a photo or a picture of someone pressing pressing the spring in with their thumb saying, no, don't do that. But amazingly, that's what people do. They press it in from above with their thumb, and it simply doesn't work. So if the spring is sticking out, and sometimes we open a hand and it's sticking out like this even. So if that's the case, take the spring out, have a look and make sure that it's still usable, it's not damaged at all, and then simply put them back in. So they go in the slot and pushed all the way to the back, and use the pin just to get it all the way to the back. And that's now sitting inside its channel, inside the finger, and it's not going to come out. You're not going to have that problem. So that's the first reason. The second reason is this. And what's happened on this other side is that this pin here, this pin, has gone into the spring. And there's a little picture of that on step number 12. So what's happened, if I just take this pin out to show you, this pin has been pushed inside this spring. I can't, now I've done it. So it goes in this. I'll just bring the light a little bit closer. Maybe you can see that, I don't know. Hopefully, up this way maybe. You can see that it's gone inside the spring. So to fix that problem, obviously you need to take this out. Then you need to take the spring out. If we can get it out now because it's stuck in there. Anyway, we take the spring out and we have a look and see if it's damaged. Yep. So let me do that and I'll be right back. Okay, I've taken the spring out and as you can see, it's damaged. So that pin, that pin has gone into this part here and it's damaged the spring. Throw that away. We can't use that anymore. Get a new spring into the slot, reassemble the hand, and it should be 100%. So those are the three problems with when fingers don't open properly. First is that the bolts at the side are done up too tight. The second is that the spring is being pushed in with the thumb and it's not in its slot inside the finger. The third is that the pin has gone into the spring. So those are the problems with opening the hand. Let's have a look at these nuts. These nuts are called a nylock nut. Inside this part here, sometimes it's blue, sometimes it's white, is some plastic, some nylon. And what this does is when you tighten this, that nylon, once the bolt goes through the nylon on the nut, it means that the nut won't come undone. So the way that these nuts go is that the nylon part, the rounded part of the top, so this part is rounded, this part is square, this rounded part always needs to face out, so out from the hand. So if you were putting it into the hand to finish off with, into this finger, you can see there's a hexagonal shape here that it goes into. The rounded part goes to the outside. I put it in. You can see it there. You can see the nylon part of the nut is on the outside. And that way, when you're screwing the bolt in, it'll be easy to start with, and then it'll get harder to put in, which means that the nylon is actually working.